Proudly sponsored by Diamond Bright, keeping the furious fleet shining. Hello, welcome to Furious Driving, and as you know on this channel we like unusual and obscure cars that you won't find anywhere else, and today we've done it again with this one, a Ford Escort Mexico. Which, okay, that's not necessarily as rare as you might think in itself, but this one though has got too many doors. And yes, it is real, and yes, it was built by Ford. And if you'd like to own your very own Mk1 Escort Mexico four-door prototype, this is about to be for sale by auction on Bidding Classics. There's a link in the description below. Take a look. So a little bit of background on what we have here. First of all, it's a Mk1 Escort Mexico, and the Escort came out in 1967, and it was a world apart from its predecessor, the Anglia, which has been a fun car and sold well, but the Escort at the time, the replacement, and it moved things forward a long way. Now, it was immediately apparent that this was going to be a great competition car. An engineer at Ford called Bill Meade saw a prototype and told his boss, Henry Taylor, stick a Lotus twin cam in that and that's going to go like hell. Basically, take a Lotus Cortina motor, stick it in the smaller body, and bada bing, you got fireworks. And so they fitted one, and the Escort twin cam was born, and they started winning rallies in 1968. Now, in 1970, as the Ford Works team prepared for the London to Mexico rally, a 16,000-mile epic adventure, Roger Clark suggested a Type 49 shell, which means the heavily strengthened three-door shell, would be fantastic, but take out the Lotus twin cam and fit in the Cortina 1600 GT motor, because it's more reliable, if slightly less powerful, but ultimately over 16,000 miles, reliability and endurance outweigh outright performance. And he was right, because Hanno Mikkola, with co-driver Gunnar Palm, romps home to victory in Escort FEV1H, making it the most famous Escort of all time, and Ford, never slow to miss a trick, had AVO start working on a civilianized version, and 6 months later the Mexico was born. Now, the street car was almost a homologation special because it still used a strengthened three-door shell, but in order to keep costs down for the customer, and indeed for Ford, they used a 1599cc or 1.6 Kent cross-flow engine, making all of 85 horsepower. And this model was developed and built by Ford's AVO, or Advanced Vehicle Operations Unit, in Averley in Essex here in Britain. All told, between 1970 and 1974, AVO screwed together 10,352 two-door Mexico saloons. The story doesn't end there, because there are a couple of extra doored versions that exist. Ford actually built three-door estate cars, all in yellow, one of which actually went to the sister of the development engineer. I'm not sure how official that was. But as well as that, there was also this, the mythical four-door saloon. Like the three-door, it is a stiffened body shell, so it's got extra bracing around crucial points, which means it handles better. It's got the same engine, the same suspension, but crucially, it has got four doors. Now, what was the call for this? What was the deciding factor to make this happen? It was the police, apparently. Information on these cars is almost impossible to find, because they only made 6 of them, and this is the first one to roll off the line. I say rolled off the line, it was probably just pushed out of a workshop. The Metropolitan Police wanted the performance and the handling of the Mexico, but you try and put a criminal in the back seat in handcuffs, and you've got to open the front door, roll the seat forward, get them to duck the head, watch yourself, matey. Yeah, it's not convenient. You need a four-door for a patrol car, and so they did. A later car apparently went to Jersey police, I'm told. Apparently, the story goes that car number 3, I think it was, a guy just walked into his local Ford dealer, said, "I've heard about this four-door Mexico, I'd like one," and his local Ford dealer charged him an extra £45, and he got one. I think that car still exists. But if you're in any doubt as to whether this is genuine or not, let's take a look under the bonnet. Right, so here we have, under the bonnet, notice the original Ford individual lettering, as we found in all the Mk1 Escorts. Well, I stall for time while I hunt for the release. Oh, the warmth of that engine is delightful. This car has been restored over the last couple of years, so it does look absolutely fabulous. So here we have the Kent 1599cc 4-cylinder cross-flow engine, making 85 horsepower and 124 newton meters of torque. That's 92 foot-pounds in old money, and that meant this thing could do 0 to 60 in 10.1 seconds and a top speed of 99 miles an hour. And in 1972, that was a big deal. Now, you may be wondering why I'm standing here like this for so long. It's because the radiator is just the right temperature to save my fingers from falling off. Now, ordinarily, I'll be telling you all about the car on the road. As you may have noticed, it is a tad on the white side out here, and if I leave this yard, it's very, very salty indeed, and I'm not going to take a freshly restored one-of-a-kind prototype out in the salt. Looking down here at this plate, Escort Mexico 4-door, actually spelled 4-door, F-O-D-O-R, as they spelled it in America, so hence American Ford Company. 4-door trial unit. ARFXFR unit number 9021. This is affixed by AVO in Essex. Well, the car was actually built in 1971. It wasn't registered for the road until 1972. But yeah, there it is. 50 years ago, that was riveted onto this panel here, and that tells us this is a genuine Ford prototype. Well, although I can't drive it around, I can crank it over and hear the thing roar. Wow. That is such a Ford Escort sound. Lovely. Doesn't that sound like an Escort? Right, let's take a look around the cabin. First of all, noticing these nice little door handles with a little recess behind them, single push button and a separate door lock to get you in, which is probably openable by 90% of other Ford Escort doors keys. As you get ready to step over the sill, you'll see a little Ford oval down here on the tread plate. Nice little touch here recessed into it, and the door card. Lots of visible body colour paint, which is very normal for a car in the 1970s. A big soft vinyl panel with just straight stitching for visual detail, small door pull, little door handle to get in and out, and a manual window crank, both of which have got this nice little knurling on there for a bit of, again, visual interest. The seats are 1970s sport bucket seats. Black vinyl, so the scourge of kids on seaside outings throughout the 1970s, with this interesting woven texture moulded into the vinyl here in the centre. No headrest, you'll notice, but there are inertia reel seat belts here in both of the front seats. Nothing in the back, you'll notice. Now, T-shelfery was not a strong point of Mk1 Escort. Very small area. You can put chewing gum, Twixes, individual Twix mostly really, up here, and a small area for a cup of tea on your tea break just there. But what we do have though in abundance is vinyl and timber. We've got a big slab of tree here across the middle with our heater controls and a warning light. You'll notice the visible screws. This is something that would be completely unacceptable in a modern car today, but was completely normal back in the 70s to have visible fixings. No one thought anything of it, unless you're in like a Rolls Royce or a Jaguar when things were hidden. We've got more timber down here around rear screen heater, side lights and fan controls, and of course the roll out ashtray. We've got a rocker switch for our wipers down here, not the most ergonomic back in the 70s. We've got a choke down here as well, because obviously well before auto chokes. Rev counter on the left, redlining at 6,500 RPM. To its right we've got our speedometer going up to 140 miles an hour with the blue beam light at the bottom for our headlight main beams. Over to the right, because we are in a performance model, we've got multiple gauges, so as well as our fuel gauge and temperature, we've got volts and we've got oil as well, all here behind yet more timber. And tucked away really out of sight underneath here, we have got the rocker switch for the lights. Ergonomics was a science that really had not hit the Ford development team in the late 60s when this car was put together. This car has got a very deep dished 3-spoke racing rally steering wheel, leather rimmed metal spoke, and then looking down underneath the dashboard area, we've got a big vent slash speaker area down here. If there was not a radio as standard in this car, so it was kind of up to the dealer where that was going to go. Maybe underneath here, maybe take out the ashtray, maybe in one of these two, not exactly glove boxes, just tray areas, sub T-shelf areas, left and right on the dashboard. In terms of space for your feet, there is absolutely loads, because there's no central console area. It's a big wide open space with lots of room for activities. On the right hand side, 3 pedals. It's a 4-speed manual gearbox, which is a good thing. We've got a little pocket down here for documents and what have you on the right hand side of the driver's foot. Moving back, we have of course got the 4-speed manual gearbox. Typical Ford gearbox, nice light throw, a little bit notchy, a joy to use. And of course this car is rear wheel drive, so that's why I did so well in rallying, because it's an absolute hoot. And here is the handbrake for the exciting handbrake turns. Now up above, because Mexico and exciting, we have got black vinyl headlining. I wish I could describe the smell of this car perfectly to you, but it is quite amazing. You can smell the vinyl, you can smell the carpet, you can smell the history in this thing. And we even have grab handles on all four. Now I'm going to do something most Escort Mexico owners can only dream of. I'm going to climb into the back doors using a door. Fancy. So we have got our proper rear door. Because this is a standard 4-door Mk1 Escort shell, it's a standard Mk1 4-door Escort shell opening, which means it's fairly tight on your head because this C-post wraps around quite dramatically and sportily and swoopily. It's a good looking car, the Escort Mk1, has to be said, because you do have these lovely fluted swage lines that just rise up to the back of the car. Also the window line rises up slightly as well. You'll notice, as in the front door, we have got fixed quarter lights, we've got the manual windows, we've got the same door furniture all the way through. In fact, we do have the slight issue that the front seat passenger's seatbelt is exactly where your foot wants to go, so getting in is a little bit of a squeeze. I mean, I am not huge, but I'm pretty much average sized person. I'm very much compacted into the back of this car now. My knees are right up against the back of the seat, my head is up against the ceiling, so there's not a lot of space in the back of a Mk1 Escort. So although it's easy to get in and out, if you had been arrested by the Met Police in one of these things and were shoved in the back, you would be regretting your life decisions. Now in terms of equipment back here for the rear seat passengers, we again don't have headrests, we don't have seat belts, we have got an enormously generous parcel shelf. And that's like a pressed cardboard, hardboard thing, and the smell of that just takes me back to my childhood. I can't even begin to describe it. It's fantastic. You can actually see the rising swage line on the rear door more clearly in the back, actually, on the inside than you can on the outside, which is fun. More body colour metal, and we do even have a heated rear window. And this is the view from the back of that wonderful dashboard. Now I've got to admit, I am kind of disappointed we didn't get to take this car actually out for a drive on the road. It's only a few metres away, but yeah, the chances of having an accident with this thing in the snow and the ice and making it rot in the future with the salt are too great for me to let it take it out of this yard, which is such a shame. But it's going to be for sale in the next few weeks, and then it's going to be gone to a new owner, and then we'll have missed it. So a look around it just here in the car park is better than no look around at all. For me, this is a massive trip down memory lane. Not that my parents had a Mexico, but I did grow up in Mk1 Escorts, and the smells and the shapes and everything about it just takes me back to being 5 years old and sitting in one of these things again. I have loved this. If I had the money, I would probably put a bid in because it's quite exciting. So thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this look around this incredibly rare prototype. If you have, please hit like and subscribe as always, and join me again next time driving something completely different. Well, as long as the weather changes, we will be.